You're watching ABC7 News at 7.
It was very sad when we heard about it, and certainly he's also very sad. Now, he also, as you probably know, he says he's innocent, and I think you have to remember that.
President Trump expressing sympathy for an alleged wife-beater, Rob Porter, but not the victims. And the government shut down for a few hours. How was a deal reached? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on the week in Washington in a moment, but first, our top 7 stories at 7. Wow, Suncoast, our little House District 72 special election is getting some big-time national attention. The race is in the home stretch with the election just 3 days away, and the who's who in the political world is weighing in. Former Vice President Joe Biden announcing his endorsement for Democrat Margaret Good. Florida Governor Rick Scott and Senator Marco Rubio say they endorse James Buchanan, and the Observer newspaper announcing its support for Libertarian Allison Foxhole.
They'll get their feet wet. They'll have half a session to learn on the fly and then right back into campaign mode.
Political observers are looking at the race as a barometer heading into the midterm elections. And just a reminder, we will be re-airing the one and only debate between all three candidates on Monday night on ABC7 at 7. When Sarasota wanted a lesson learned from Hurricane Irma, it hired one of the country's most top experts. Former FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate is now weighing in on what Sarasota County needs to improve upon. Believe it or not, hurricane season is only 17 weeks away. Even though Fugate says the county did, quote, a good job, there are things that need to be done differently next time around. Fugate listed evacuations, opening more shelters, as well as making them pet-friendly.
We'd open up a couple of shelters, they'd fill up. Now we got to go back and tell people other shelters are opening up. Yet they only heard the first message, and you got people showing up, the shelter's already full.
What Fugate presented today is just a draft of the post-Hurricane Irma review. The final report will be made to the County Commission on March 14th. Teenagers and guns. A 15-year-old is dead after accidentally shooting himself in Manatee County. Wyatt Hall was outside attempting to shoot some animals getting into the trash. EMS tried to revive Hall, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. A Northport High School student is in custody after police say he made threats to other students. Police received several tips a student was making threats on social media. Police say they looked into it and made an arrest. Similar situations involving social media threats have happened at other schools across the Suncoast in recent months. The Tampa Bay Rays are officially naming Ybor City as their preferred site to build a new stadium. Rays owner Stu Sternberg announcing today the team will focus its efforts on the 14-acre site in Ybor. Now comes the fun part, money. The stadium is expected to cost over $700 million, but the team has said it would put up only $150 million. The Rays are hoping to open the new facility by 2022. Bradenton Christian School placed on lockdown this morning after a man threatening parents and students. School officials say the man who was driving a gray sedan pulled up to the school and started yelling at students and making inappropriate comments. Bradenton police are investigating. Legislation requiring "In God We Trust" to be displayed at all public schools in Florida is ready for debate in the House of Representatives. The measure passing its final House committee this week. Currently, "In God We Trust" is included in state law as Florida's official motto. The bill would require school boards to adopt rules ensuring the motto would be displayed in a conspicuous place in each school.
The opportunity our students have to walk into school each day and understand where their trust should be.
I don't think anyone should put a Post-it note up or a Xerox thing up. That would be completely disrespectful, but there are no requirements here on how that needs to be done, so there's no requirement that says it needs to be done in a respectful manner.
Supporters say the cost to create a display will be minimal and fit well within a school district's budget. More Florida voters would be allowed to use touchscreen voting equipment, and recounts in close elections could be done electronically under a new bill. The Senate Committee on Community Affairs narrowly approving legislation this week to allow any voter to use electronic voting machines. Additionally, the bill would allow local supervisors of elections to use the option to digital imaging tabulation equipment to conduct a recount rather than manually looking at ballots.
The human factor, the human error, is less reliable than the electronic performance. And that's why our banking system and everything else runs on electronics, not only for efficiency, but also effectiveness.
We've had problems here in the state of Florida with our voting system, right, that we've received international attention for, unfortunately. And I think that my sense is that we are probably still recovering, although have recovered a lot in terms of voter confidence in our voting systems.
The legislation has 2 more committee stops before it is ready for the Senate floor. A similar bill in the House has passed 1 committee and must also be approved by 2 more before it can be considered by the full chamber. Opening night for the big show at Nathan Benderson Park. Our own chief meteorologist Bob Harrigan is there. The first look forecast. He joins us now live. Bob.
I'll tell you, they call me the weather clown, but here's the real deal right here. This is a clown from Italy, by the way, Jimmy Falco. I think I pronounced that right. Jimmy, yes. Is that right? Was that right?
Yeah, Jimmy Falco is right.
Weatherman getting it right is pretty unusual, you see.
Yeah, of course.
I see, you know, you come from a long generation of performers, circus performers. Where are you from in Italy?
I'm from Verona. Just 11 generation.
11 generations.
300 years in the show business.
That's a long, long time. You've got some longevity there as well. What are you guys doing tonight? I see you're all kind of dressed up here and ready to go.
Yeah, it's hot here in Florida.
Yeah,
you know what? You know what? I think I'm gonna get a nice pool. See you guys.
Jimmy Falco, everybody.
Bye, bye.
You can watch a great performance right here. He'll be performing along with many other great acts. We're all kind of right behind. They're getting ready to start right now, and it looks as though delayed a little bit because of traffic. This place is sold out tonight. Jimmy, thank you very much. That was good. You're the man. Ciao. So we have 73 degrees right now, a nice evening. The dew point temperature is at 66 and the humidity at 79%. The winds out of the north-northeast at 5 and the pressure way up there, 30-17. And that is on the rise. Now, there are a few brief isolated showers around. You can see that from the radar review. Nothing really significant. Don't be surprised in your neighborhood. You may see a brief shower here and there. The rain chance only about 20%. There's some right there near Lakewood Ranch. A little bit of a rain right near here, in fact, just north of us. That's going to move away from here, though. 73 in Sarasota, 74 in Orlando. You can see from the GOES Satellite East review showing the clouds kind of streaming overhead and moving off to the northeast. Nothing too significant downwind from us, but we do have a storm system developing to the west and northwest of us, which is going to bring some rainfall to the deep south. But we're going to avoid that particular storm system. Well, much more in our weather, obviously, and maybe we can sneak some other acts before they go out there and perform. It looks like they're sounding off right now. They're starting right now here to kick off the circus performances. Back to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Bob. Still to come, who is responsible for having someone on the White House staff who allegedly beat 3 women?
It's been about a month, and I can honestly say I've seen the change in me. I went from being a depressed girl who didn't want help to this happy, caring girl who loves helping other people. I just really hope that people that went through what I went through get the help that they need, because their story is important and they are loved. Thank you so much for everything.
Hi, I'm Chef Bob. Watch Aprons in the Kitchen every Wednesday morning on ABC7, where we'll be serving up the most awesome dishes. Then stop by your neighborhood Publix, pick up the recipe card and all the ingredients.
Everyone likes the 2018 Honda Civic. For $169 a month, you made Civic a best-selling compact car in America. You'll like Civic's 5-star safety ratings, and that KBB.com named Civic a best buy and the most awarded car. Get the 2018 Civic at a payment you'll love. $169 a month today at your local Honda dealer.
Honda, I like it. Oh yeah, I like it. Stay connected to your clients and new customers using ABC7 digital media services. Our team of professionals provide a wide array of digital services to help you get the most out of your website. We specialize in building and helping you maintain the most effective digital solutions for your business. It's vital that your online presence stands out, so our experts will equip you with the best resources available. Trust ABC7 Digital Media Services to give you the right tools to grow your business.
Once you get atrial fibrillation, you need to have a very close relationship with your primary doctor. Prevention is the whole ball game here, because once you have a stroke, you can't undo it. A year without stroke, it's a year that you can enjoy doing the things that you've worked all your life to finally get to do. You took care of yourself. You did what is necessary for you to be around one more year. And then next year, we'll celebrate one more year without a stroke.
Enjoy some of the best Suncoast restaurants on me. Just go to mysuncoast.com/dining, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already, and you can win a $50 gift card to a restaurant in our area. We'll pick a winner each week, so go on our website and sign up now.
The president today speaking out about one of his closest aides who resigned from the White House this week in scandal. ABC News' Tara Palmieri has more.
President Trump defended his former top aide, Rob Porter, who resigned as staff secretary yesterday after allegations of spousal abuse by two ex-wives became public. From the Oval Office, President Trump wished him well, this despite evidence of domestic violence, including photos and a police report.
He said very strongly yesterday that he's innocent.
The president made no mention of the women accusing Porter of domestic abuse, but instead commented on Porter's state of mind.
He's also very sad.
Last night, Chief of Staff John Kelly, under fire about what he knew and when he knew it, sent a memo to staffers stating that the White House takes matters of domestic violence, quote, very seriously. When the allegations became public earlier this week, Kelly first issued a statement calling Porter a man of true integrity and honor. But after a photo surfaced of Porter's first ex-wife with a black eye, Kelly distanced himself from his original position. His second ex-wife says she told the FBI everything.
They were asking me to describe his character, asking me to describe anything that I thought might be problematic in his position.
While the president seemed to show no signs of regret, White House spokesperson Raj Shah said yesterday,
"We all could have done better over the last few hours or last few days in dealing with this situation."
ABC News has learned that the president is so unhappy with the handling of the crisis that he's actually contemplating replacing his chief of staff, General John Kelly. Now, Kelly, for his part, has signaled his willingness to resign, but a White House spokesperson says that he has not offered his resignation and he will remain in place. Tara Palmieri, ABC News, Washington.
Coming up, some of the most respected Republicans and Democrats on the Suncoast with their reaction, and the most insightful political reporter in the area shares his wisdom at the trapezoid.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right? Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed.
Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy. I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Welcome back. The Dow has its worst week in 2 years. Another government shutdown, yet the story consuming the White House is the botched handling of a top aide accused of beating not 1 but 2 of his ex-wives. Staff Secretary Rob Porter is out, finally, months after Chief of Staff John Kelly was made aware of allegations Porter beat 2 ex-wives, and only after a photo of one of those wives with a black eye was made public. Porter was Kelly's right-hand man and responsible for every piece of paper put before the president, but couldn't obtain the security clearance from the FBI because of the red flags in his background check. And joining us for more is Christine Hughes of the Sarasota County Republican Party, former state representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of SRQ magazine. Welcome to you all. And Christine, let me start with you. As a woman and as a Republican, what do you make not only of what happened in the White House this week, General Kelly's actions, but also the president's comments today?
Well, you know, it's hard really to understand what happened from the beginning. Apparently, Porter said that he told the FBI he had some issues. I don't understand why that wasn't communicated all the way up. I don't know all the channels. Kelly came in later. Priebus was the chief of staff in the beginning. So Porter said to the president, it was fabricated and expect this to come out, but it's not true. All I'm saying to you is there's a lot of he said, she said on this. But if all of this is true, I think it should start with the vetting of the issue. I think the president was commenting on the job that he had done and stayed away from any personal comment.
Why don't we just take a look first at what the president had to say today?
Well, we wish him well. He worked very hard. I found out about it recently and I was surprised by it. But we certainly wish him well. It's a obviously tough time for him. He did a very good job when he was in the White House.
It seems what's missing there is any reference to the women who were allegedly beaten.
Well, I agree with you on that. I don't know what else to say about it. I think he was I don't know what the question was that he was responding to in this segment here. I think he was just saying, you know, he did a good job, but apparently Kelly had said he had never seen the photographs. I don't know how much information Kelly had when he came in as chief of staff.
Well, there were other comments today too, and including the former Vice President Joe Biden, who had this to say.
A statement from the president saying he wishes him luck. He has so much talent. That's like saying that axe murderer out there, he's a great painter.
Jacob, I would imagine that this might have an impact on a lot of women voters, both Republican and Democrats, as we get into the midterms, and we have a special election coming up.
Well, it's certainly not a news story that the administration or the Republican Party generally wants to see dominating the headlines. I wonder how much length it's got. Honestly, Rob Porter is a figure who we weren't all very familiar with a week ago, so it's not the same as if a well-known figure suddenly made the headline for these reasons. I think the real question is whether this is going to affect John Kelly's tenure in the White House, and that's what's going to determine the long-term impact of this.
Keith, should it?
Should it affect his tenure? I think it should. I think this was more than tone deafness. You know, we're going through a cultural moment right now where women are standing up and saying we're not accepting being harassed, we're not accepting being groped, we're not accepting being pushed around, and that's a great thing. You know, we're in a moment when it's not really a partisan issue, it's across the board. People are saying we're not going to accept this, and decent men are standing up and saying the same thing. And in the context of that conversation, to not think it was important that this information was out there and not to pursue it, he should go.
All right. We are just getting warmed up. We'll have much more in the week in Washington right after we check the first alert weather, so stay with us.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first.
They stand ready to respond to any crisis.
I will never accept defeat.
They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers.
I will never quit.
They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at nationalguard.com.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Are you a soccer mom or dad? Regardless of their age or experience level, when your kids play soccer or any other sport, there's one person on the sideline who is key to help recognize and seek medical care for sports-related concussion. It's you. You need to know the signs and symptoms of concussion, and you need to act if you think your child has been injured. Remember, when in doubt, sit them out. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 78.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Our nation's servicemen and women show great courage and leadership, both on and off the battlefield. When they transition to civilian life, they can apply the skills and values they learned in the military to the workplace. That's why the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is urging employers everywhere to be smart, bet on a vet. Hiring a veteran is also a great way to show your appreciation for them. To learn more, call 1-888-44-SALUTE.
Our conversation on the Week in Washington continues right after we get a check on the weather. Circus Sarasota's new show making its big debut tonight. It honors the 250th anniversary of the modern circus, and Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, also our Chief Clown, is there, joins us live. Bob?
Yeah, Jimmy left. He's getting ready to perform, but he's fantastic. He's funny. A great act, too, I was led to believe. Now, here's the thing. We are behind the scenes where all the acts are getting ready to go on. The show has already started. That's kind of an interesting aspect. I've never been back behind here. And my friend Luis Garcia, who I talked to before a couple of years ago live, you built this tent, basically.
I'm the tent master here in Circus Sarasota.
Now, you are from where now again?
Dublin, Ireland.
Dublin, Ireland, and so you're here, and you've known Pedro from way back when.
Yes, when we first started the circus, I was one of the first ones on board putting the tent up for him. I was on Ringling Brothers Bar and Bailey, finished that night, came over and put his tent up 20 years ago.
You know what?
Stayed here since.
It's amazing. You left Ireland, you may go back there and visit every once in a while.
Yes, I did. I developed my family.
People don't realize this tent, about $500,000 for this tent, and it doesn't just stay here. You guys ship it around.
Yes, we go to a big festival, Bonnaroo Festival, and last year in D.C. we went to On the Mall. We're the first big circus big top on the mall.
Big circus tent on the mall.
On the mall, yeah, on the mall, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So we're there. We're going this year to Electric Light, another big festival we're going to do, and another circus in up in
Illinois.
Illinois, is it?
Yeah.
Another big day.
Anyway, I appreciate talking to us.
Yes.
How long does it take to put one of these up?
Well, most of the day and hard work just for the tent, 2 days for seats, and goes on and on and on. And you never stop. I'm the 10 miles. I'll be up there tomorrow again.
Yeah, it's keeping you young, right?
Oh, it is. It is.
He's up in the tent all the time. The big top right here in Sarasota. Our weather's looking really quite nice for the event tonight. People are here. It was packed too. It's sold out, and so that was really quite nice. KCK webcam showing pretty fair conditions throughout the day today. It looks like it'll stay that way as well, as we are anticipating fair skies overnight. There's a 20% chance for a shower, but not much. Satellite and radar showing some high clouds continuing to move in from the Gulf. A lot of rain over Texas and over Arkansas, as well as into Alabama and Mississippi. That's all going to stay basically to our north as that storm system kind of gathers and doesn't really have a big impact on our weather. It will bring us some cloudiness, obviously, but not a lot. Now, as far as our forecast goes, we are looking at some decent weather up and down the coast, and for tomorrow, your day planner looks nice. High temperatures well above average. And by the way, I want to show you this graphic because Ray Collins, he'll be a guest ringmaster. I think that's on Sunday, matinee. And then Stephanie Webb will be the guest ringmaster tomorrow. Linda Carson was here today. They're on the Sun Coast in the morning. Want to tune in for that. As far as our futurecast goes, you can see that rainfall up to the north. That's what's going to be happening, but for us, a different story, as we will see just the possibility of some fog. Should be a great weekend, by the way. No real threat of any significant rainfall. Here's, I mentioned, just a 20% chance for a passing shower late in the day. 73 right now, dew points up there, 66. That's almost summer-like. And the high today, 84. Well above the average, close to record 86, just 2 degrees shy of tying it. Temperatures currently in the 60s over the Panhandle, 70s over the peninsula, and a little bit cooler near the coast, into the low 70s there as a result, again, of the coastal waters being into the upper 60s as far as temperatures go. Well, I got to tell you, the forecast looks like this. Just some fog is the biggest downside to our weather as we take it through the work week next week. So not too bad at all. Tonight looks pretty good out here at Nathan Benderson Park, the Big Top, Sarasota. Starting it off right here. The circus is in effect right now. Well, much more in our weather forecast coming up a little bit later. Back to you.
It's time to take a road trip.
Burn rubber for Birmingham, where you can feed your need for speed at Barber Motorsports Park and Museum. Now this gets my motor running. Meet Iron Men. Hey there, big guy. And make a date with your 9-iron. Feed the animals at the zoo and the birds. Then enjoy the award-winning restaurant scene. Alabama has a road trip with your name on it.
Which one you gonna take?
Monday at 4 on Suncoast View.
The countdown to Valentine's Day is on. I'm Joey Panic. On Suncoast View, we'll have unique and vintage Valentine's ideas to get ready for the upcoming Rosemary Indie Market. Find out where to go for the great trivia action with Sarasota's Trivia Queen. Plus, talented vocalist Sharon Scott sings Mardi Gras jazz favorites, and the Table Creekside previews their special Valentine's dinner menu.
Monday at 4 on Suncoast View.
WWSB ABC7 is an equal opportunity employer, and we're looking for qualified people to join our dynamic team. For a list of current openings and to apply online, visit www.mysuncoast.com/contact/employment. If you're a motivated team player and you want a rewarding career in a fun, fast-paced working environment, WWSB ABC7 could be the perfect fit for you. Check out our list of openings now.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
Welcome back. We're talking about the week in Washington, and joining us for more are Christine Hughes of the Sarasota County Republican Party, former State Representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of SRQ magazine. So you may have missed this while you were sleeping, but we had another government shutdown. It was short-lived. What's amazing about this is that both Democrats and Republicans got together for a budget deal, but it was held up for hours by Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who took to the floor and said this.
I'm here tonight is to put people on the spot. I want people to feel uncomfortable. I want them to have to answer people at home who said, how come you were against President Obama's deficits, and then how come you're for Republican deficits? Isn't that the very definition of intellectual dishonesty? If you were against President Obama's deficits and now you're for the Republican deficits, isn't that the very definition of hypocrisy?
Does he have a point, Christine?
No, I think that the Republicans as a whole wanted very much to get the military spending back on track. So the Pentagon budget won in this, and that was really driven by it.
But during the 8 years of President Obama, what you heard consistently from the Republican Party is concern about the ballooning budget deficit. And now, with this tax plan that we just passed, alone, $1.5 trillion. How are Republicans not concerned about more government spending now?
I think that the Republicans are always concerned about government spending. I think that they gave in on the discretionary spending to get the Democrats to pass this, what they call bipartisan bill. And I don't think that in these tax cuts anybody is even thinking about what percentage of that is going to reduce the deficit, because it will do if you look at Kennedy's tax cuts and Reagan's tax cuts. So the deficit won't be as what they're projecting. It's still going to be high, but I think the Republicans, they actually compromised with the Democrats this time in order to get a budget through.
Keith, a good deal?
It's not a good deal, but it's the problem is the tax cuts with this spending bill add up to a real disaster. Rand Paul says he didn't go to Washington to be liked, and he succeeded in,
from both sides.
From both sides. However, he has a really good point. If you look back, every time since Richard Nixon, Republicans have increased the deficit, and presidents have increased the deficit, and Democrats have reduced it. So this sort of...
Except under Obama.
No, actually, he reduced the deficit very seriously, and it's down to $400 billion. It did go up, but over time he got it back down.
It went up. Arguably, you could agree with this or not, because faced with a looming depression,
right. Well,
didn't the country need a stimulus to...
Well, here's another thing. First of all, a lot of the programs are in entitlement. They kick in, like unemployment kicks in as unemployment goes up. So a lot of that was out of his control. But by the time he got out of there, he had taken that down to levels prior to what it was before the recession. So he did do that. But the deal is that this tax bill is not, they've done the dynamic scoring. People on Wall Street have looked at it. It's going to increase the deficit up to about $1.2 trillion. And that's going to have inflationary impact. It's going to be make it difficult for businesses to borrow money. And it's just not a really good thing.
Jacob, you have your finger on the pulse of the Suncoast in terms of politics and what public opinion is. How does this play to many, particularly Republicans on the Suncoast, who for years have been concerned about the budget deficit?
I mean, I think right now the mood is, unfortunately, it's all about winning more than it is about the particular points of policy right now. And I think more than anybody feeling good or bad about this, people are mostly on edge, and the view of hypocrisy on both parties right now. Yeah, we're talking Rand Paul calling out the hypocrisy with deficit spending, but also Democrats spent a lot of time complaining about the wickedness of government shutdowns during the Obama era. Now we've had two in the span of, 4 weeks? And I think that more than anything, it's generally dampening enthusiasm for anybody in Washington and increasingly heightening the frustrations with hypocrisy and calling for change.
But Alan, at the end of the day, 71% of government spending is entitlements, and neither party is willing to address it.
The other big story this week was the Dow. It dropped 300 points Friday. It bounced back 300 points today, but it was still the worst week for the Dow in 2 years. And this is how it's linked to the budget deal and the tax plan that we just talked about. The Associated Press reported that the market's plunge over the past week was initially ignited by fears of higher inflation and interest rates, but the investors also had to consider a new threat, a 2-year government funding deal that would add about $300 billion to budget deficits from higher spending. The feds might want to respond by raising rates more aggressively to counter the effect of spending increases. So, Christine, I mean, does that concern folks like you that you're going to have interest rates skyrocketing over concerns about the increase in the budget deficit?
Well, I don't know if the interest rates are going to skyrocket in the short term, but we've had 9 years of almost zero interest rates. So eventually, we're going, this was coming. We had to increase the interest rates, and I think that in this particular instance, the market went up on the trajectory so fast. I mean, and everybody was knowing that it wasn't going to be sustainable, that it was going to come down. I think it's had probably a fairly, good correction now that people are going not to be as concerned. If you remember during, the 2009, the fundamentals of the economy were absolutely not there, and this is different now. The economy is very solid, and people comment that it is. It's just that there is concern about higher interest rates, and obviously the interest rates on the deficit, on the debt.
Well, I think that people are a little bit too concerned about interest rates going up. They do need to go up, but the fundamental problem is the economy actually has been ticking along in a fairly steady, a little bit disappointing recovery over a 9-year period. It hasn't really changed fundamentally, but we just part of why the market has been so high is there have not been a lot of other great investments, and we've had a ton of money poured into it, and that inflated the rate, so a correction is a little bit in order. But we're pouring now a ton more money into the economy at a time when it's already pretty hot. That is not smart economic policy.
Let me change the subject just a little bit, because I'm always trying to look at how these national stories will impact our local politics here. The ratings for 21 House seats around the country have just shifted, according to the Cook Report, which is a national organization that looks at these things, including the 16th congressional district where we live. It has always been a solid Republican district, but now, according to the Cook Report, Vern Buchanan's district is likely Republican, but not solid Republican. Jacob?
Yeah, I think it's going to be probably the toughest re-election battle that Vern Buchanan's faced since somebody else was running a few years back.
Who might that be?
But at the same time, I've got to tell you, personally, I'm going to need to see a lot more movement and a lot more change in the polls before I think this seat is anywhere close to a swing seat.
Keith, let me ask you about that, because I'm unaware of any public polls done on this congressional district, and I'm wondering, therefore, what is this based on?
Well, the Cook Report uses just numbers on, little models and projections and so forth. And, it went from strong Republican to likely Republican. That isn't a significant change. It doesn't mean that it's still not an uphill battle for my friend David Shapiro, just so everybody knows I'm supporting him and I think he's a great candidate. It's a tough race. But I think part of what you're seeing all around the country is enthusiasm among Republicans isn't great. Enthusiasm among Democrats are high, and that could bring a whole bunch of districts into play, including this one, that you wouldn't ordinarily think could be.
We have to take a quick break, but when we come back, Christine, we're going to go to you first. We'll be back in just a moment.
Chris Domine is a husband, father, an athlete, even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris's kidneys were failing.
The doctor said if you don't do dialysis, if you don't get a kidney transplant, you are going to die.
Then Chris received a second chance, made possible by an organ donor.
Your well-being changes from loss of hope to better times ahead.
Imagine what you could make possible. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator. There was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs. Stop the crimes.
Want the latest weather and traffic conditions wherever you go? Introducing ABC7's revolutionary new First Alert weather app. With our state-of-the-art new weather app, you get up-to-the-minute weather alerts, interactive radar maps, current conditions, 10-day forecasts, real-time traffic maps, and weather video from ABC7, all at your fingertips. And it's free. Just search Suncoast WX in the App Store and download onto all your devices today. Sponsored by Mr. Sparky. Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
And our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Christine, I wanted to give you a chance to respond to that because, as we mentioned in the last break, that a number of seats around the country are going from solid Republican to likely Republican, including the 16th Congressional District. Does that mean that Republicans around here have to be more on their toes this time around since the last real competitive race, which was the guy sitting next to you?
Right, right. Well, I think the Democrats have a challenge generally around the country and specifically of this race we're talking about, because other than illegal immigration, I don't know what the Democratic agenda is in terms of the messaging. What are they telling the American people that they stand for? If you also look, Trump's approval rate has actually ticked up to about 40%. The feeling generally in the country is the economy seems to be picking up. And you know, we can rattle off all the statistics, but the economy is picking up. People are feeling a little bit better about the future. And there was a recent poll that showed the Democratic lead in terms of congressional races has actually dropped somewhat.
That is
so
true.
I think that Republicans are not, I mean, I think they're going to stay on their toes.
And I ask this question all the time, and I still have not gotten a good answer. Other than saying we don't like Trump, what is the Democratic message? I mean, I look everywhere, I read everywhere, and I don't see a consistent economic message that is going to win back white middle-class voters that the Democrats have been losing.
Well, I actually agree with you on that. I think the Democrats have a problem in this. Something odd happened over the last 20, 30 years, and that is the Democrats, in an odd kind of way, became the conservative party because they became the defenders of the status quo. And so their legacy is to be progressive and advocating for change, and they've been in this sort of rearguard action of saying, let's not change things any more than they ought to be. I think you saw a little bit of movement back to a clearer, progressive voice, and I think one of the problems we have in our society is too much inequality, too much is bad, and I think that's going to be a theme that we're going to see coming out.
But Jacob, we often hear Democrats have gone too far to the left, too liberal, Republicans too far to the right.
Well, I think that you've got to remember in a midterm, it's not so much about winning the middle, it's about exciting the base. So in terms of that, I would have to say, I don't know that the Democrats need an economic message in November. They'll need one in 2020. But right now, they've got cultural waves that are boosting up the loyalty for their party.
Okay, and we'll have to leave it there. Thank you all. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of you had to say about last night's show about insurance for your pets. We love our pets, but just like healthcare, insurance for our pets can be expensive. It can cost up to $40 a month for a dog, $20 a month for a cat. We went to Facebook to hear your thoughts. Marilyn says, I wish we did, one with heart disease, the other with a diabetic. Meds are outrageous. And Jessica says, all it takes is one catastrophe, which I have had, as well as several mini disasters, to make you glad you can provide your pet with whatever medical care is necessary. And Janice says, I kind of wished I had taken it out. My dog cost me over $4,000 for surgery on her knee, not including the medications. Well, if you'd like to join the conversation about tonight's topic, just visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/mysuncoast.com.abc7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. And for the latest on local breaking news, don't forget to download the updated version of our app. If your current app doesn't work, it's expired, just go to the App Store and re-download it by searching for WWSB or My Suncoast. We want to thank all our guests for being here tonight. Christine Hughes of the Sarasota Republican Party, former State Representative Keith Fitzgerald, and Jacob Ogles, the political editor of SRQ Magazine. When we return, we'll have a final look at your First Alert weather, plus what deals were made between Republicans and Democrats to have the government shutdown only last a couple of hours.
Meet Blue. Blue's not feeling well. The prescription? Generic medication. Blue wonders, do they really work as well as name brands? Yes, generics and name brand medications do work the same. Even though they may look different, generics have the same key ingredients. FDA approval is equally rigorous for generics to make sure they're as safe and effective as name brands. And Blue even saves some green, making him a little less, well, blue. Talk to your doctor about generics and visit fda.gov/generic drugs.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate, and it's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Thanks to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, what was once impossible is happening today for thousands of patients with blood cancer.
I live.
I live. I live. I live.
I live.
She lives.
Because of the research done by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society in the battle against blood cancer.
If you had a chance to support the research that is saving lives, what would you do?
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but first, the annual show from Circus Sarasota Under the Big Top is one of the most highly anticipated circus events of the year. The show kicks off tonight at Nathan Benderson Park, and that's where we find Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan, who joins us live. Bob.
We are behind the scenes here, actually, right behind the big top. The performance has been going on, and by the sound of the applause, the cheers, the screams, and the laughter, it is a very successful show so far for the opening. Last night was a dress rehearsal, and we talked to Jimmy earlier, 300-plus years in this family entertainment in the circus. You already was in there. How is it going in there?
Wow, fantastic. One of the best audience in my life.
In your life? That's pretty,
yeah.
That's saying a lot. You've been in this business all your life.
Yeah, really. I was surprised even myself. I was, wow, what is that? Oh, they love me or I love them.
Now, Jimmy, I saw you come out. You were in your bathing suit. So did you get your swim in?
Yeah, of course, but I meet a shark. He eat me everything. I have pain everywhere.
You got to look out for the shark. Well, you look good now. You restored.
Beautiful, Italian style, eh?
You look good, man.
Yeah.
All right, Luigi, we'll take care.
Take care. Ciao, bello.
Ciao, bello.
Ciao. See you later.
He's a quick dresser, too. I tell you, they got one of those going on here as well. Here's what's going on with our weather, Alan. It's been nice today. It's been warm. Here's a look at KCK webcam showing fair skies for the most part. Some high, thin cirrus clouds moving around. I can see the stars out tonight, though, and it looks good for this opening night. As far as the weather goes across the state, well, some showers over the panhandle of Florida and to the west of us, but nothing really significant going on here. We had a few brief sprinkles, if you will, move through earlier in parts of the Sun Coast, but for the most part, all that is gone now as temperatures are starting to drop down a little bit. Here's the future cast showing showers and storms to the west of us and to the north and to the east, but not much going on here as a result of this high pressure ridge, which is really strong, and it's not allowing anything to move in. So we're going to see this nice weather through the weekend too. 73 right now. We have just a few clouds, and dew point is 66. The pressure 3017. That's high. That continues to rise. The high today was 2 degrees shy of the record. It was 84. Some of the entertainers were hoping a little bit cooler, but they asked it's not too bad in there at all. 73 in Sarasota now, 66 in Jacksonville, and temperature into the low 70s along the coastline. 71 in Bradenton, 68 now into the Gulf of Mexico. The Gulf water temperature now 68 degrees. Sebring at 76 and Arcadia at 77. Well, the forecast for tomorrow looks good. Temperatures in the low 80s once again. We'll see temperatures into the low 80s, and it looks as though we will see no real threat of any significant rainfall as we move through time. Now, nationally, what's been going on? Well, I've got some photos sent to me from my brother. They were doing some tobogganing in Maumee right there as a result of the 6 to 8 inches of snowfall. Schools canceled today. That snow is spread now into New York, near Buffalo, and stretching all the way into northern Indiana, where there are weather advisories in effect there. There's another storm system, too, heading in that same area, so more snow for Sunday from Missouri all the way up to Ohio and into Pennsylvania. They will get some snowfall there. Well, here's the 7-day forecast as we see it. For us, warm weather. Temperatures warming into the upper 70s to low 80s right on in through the next 7 days. Just a 20% chance for a shower. The only downside will be the possibility of some fog forming each and every morning, especially over the weekend and on Monday. So once we get through Tuesday, that fog should not be much of a problem, but that'll be about the only downside. And again, from the sound of the audience here, they're going wild for Circus Sarasota. Opening night tonight, and go to our website at mysuncoast.com for more information on the circus. To get your tickets, 20% off this weekend, but tickets are going fast at Sarasota Circus. Al will be right back with primetime headlines right after this.
It's time to take a road trip.
Alabama's got 100 road trips. And if you love the sun, you're gonna love Mobile, where Mardi Gras is king, and the accommodations will make you feel like royalty. You can take a little drive, explore Dauphin Island, or explore the past. We're talking the USS Alabama.
Check out these big guns.
Alabama's got 100 road trips. Plan yours at alabama.travel.
Which one you gonna take?
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
We answered the call of duty and left our homes to serve in far-off lands. Now we answer another call, this time at home, in our own communities, to respond in times of chaos. To use our strength, our skills, and our experiences to bring hope amid devastation and destruction. Together, as a team of brothers and sisters, we're continuing our mission to make this country a little stronger and a little better each day. We are Team Rubicon.
Everybody can make something.
because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Checking primetime headlines, there was a short-lived government shutdown Friday in Washington. Congress worked overnight to pass a spending bill to keep the government open and got votes from both sides of the aisle. Kristen Holmes has the latest in this report from Washington.
Congress approving a major two-year budget deal early Friday morning, ending a roughly 6-hour-long unexpected government shutdown. The bill passing after heightened drama in the House of Representatives, Democrats forcing Republicans to vote first, leading Republicans to anxiously watch the numbers coming in, unsure the bill would actually get enough votes to pass. But the second shutdown in just 3 weeks came at the hands of Republican Senator Rand Paul earlier in the night.
Reserving the right to object.
Protesting the more than $300 billion the bill adds to the federal deficit.
If you were against President Obama's deficits and now you're for the Republican deficits, isn't that the very definition of hypocrisy?
Paul delaying the Senate vote until after midnight, the bill eventually passing easily. Lawmakers negotiating the massive budget deal for months, coming up with a solution that doles out hundreds of billions of dollars for defense and domestic priorities, and increases spending caps by $300 billion. Notably missing from the bill, a long-term solution for DACA, causing anger among House Democrats.
It does nothing to even advance, even with a commitment, without having passed the legislation first, to advance bipartisan legislation to protect dreamers.
President Trump tweeting he had signed the bill and that, quote, fortunately, DACA not included in this bill, negotiations to start now. In Washington, Kristen Holmes.
There appears to be a big resignation at the Department of Justice. Rachel Brand, who is the #3 official at the Justice Department, plans to step down after just 9 months on the job as Associate Attorney General. Brand was the third in line at the Justice Department. He became the father that the internet rallied around last week after he rushed convicted sexual predator Larry Nassar, and he'll probably get even more attention after this. Randall Margraves, the father of 3 girls, says he will donate more than $30,000 from an online fundraiser created in his name to Michigan groups helping survivors of sexual assault. Margraves tried to tackle the former USA gymnastics doctor after asking the judge for 5 minutes in a locked room with him. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Coe. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, and we leave you with live shots from our nation's capital.